Welcome to this video. Elliot and I have just been out on a walk, and obviously we have masks. I'm not going to punish him any longer. He's completely had enough. Off you go, Elliot. Thanks for the intro. So I am in what has been the epicenter of the coronavirus in Europe. In fact, after China, it became the epicenter of the world. So I'm in Lombardy, in Milan, and we have been pretty much under lockdown for about 3.5 weeks. We're coming into our 4th week. This is kind of how I go out, except I do have my glasses on. And everyone here is taking stuff pretty seriously. I can't carry on this video doing it like this, so I'm just going to take this off quickly, and that's everything. So I wanted to do this quick video about what it's like to be in lockdown into the 4th week. And this is just Groundhog Day. And I know a few of you will be just starting out maybe in your first few days or even in your first week. So I just wanted to give you a perspective from what it's like after week 4. In fact, in Milan we started about the 22nd of September, where all public gatherings were banned, and then it's become progressively more and more strict. So on the 8th of March, I think we went into pretty much full lockdown. But you could still go to the park, you could still go for a run, which is kind of where I think a few other cities are now, like Paris. But since then, even with that lockdown, the numbers in Lombardy and Italy have been skyrocketing. They've just been going through the roof, and the healthcare system is completely overrun. So now, as of a couple of days ago, really confined to your flat or your house. You can go out for groceries, you can go out for anything from the pharmacy, and you can walk the dog. And luckily I do have Elliot, and it's a real relief. In fact, I've been thinking of starting a rent-a-dog little business, because it is a good excuse. You can go out with the dog. As of a couple of days ago, you can, if you're stopped, you have to be within 200 meters of your residence, otherwise you get fined, and the fine is now up to 5,000 euros. So they're taking this thing pretty seriously, and they're quite right to, because even with the lockdown, the numbers keep climbing, and it's a steep curve. And hopefully within the next 2 or 3 days, we'll start seeing a slight peaking or flattening out of the curve. And in fact, that's it's almost what the world is waiting for, because we are really the European and even maybe Western example of how long this thing takes to flatten the curve, but it's not looking great at the moment. So I wanted to do a quick video, firstly on the virus itself and on protective measures, and secondly on what it's like being locked down. So firstly, the virus. I just think maybe a lot of people don't understand just how contagious this thing is. And when you start with social isolation and keeping social distance of 1 meter, 1 meter just ain't good enough. This is a tiny virus. Apparently you can get 100 million cells of this virus onto a pinhead. So if you imagine how light they are, they can just float around in the air, just like dust particles. So if you're walking down the street and there's someone without a mask coming the other way, you may keep your meter away, but actually there may be a trail of this virus behind him, because if he's infected, his throat and nose will be full of millions of these virus cells, and they just might be if you could see the cloud, there might be a 3 or 4 meter cloud behind him, all ready to be contagious. So the first thing is take the advice, real social isolation, and really make sure you keep, when you're out, keep that 2 or 3 meter distance from people. Secondly, be protected. So use a mask. The mask is obviously much more important for people who either have COVID-19 or are carrying it with asymptomatic, and these are the real spreaders, the people who think they don't have it and are actually sending it everywhere. So use a mask, use gloves if you need to. I use gloves particularly if I'm going shopping. If I'm just walking the dog, maybe I don't do it so much, but when you get home, wash your hands. And the advice of the 20 seconds with soap is fantastic. Just do it, and 20 seconds is the absolute minimum, and soap is the best thing. It's much better than antibacterial gels and all of those kind of things. If you don't have anything else, then the antibacterial gel is fine. But wash your hands, do it for 20 seconds, and make sure everything is clean. If you've touched something out there while you're shopping and then you touch your phone, just give your phone a wipe over. Okay. So the next thing is just about the lockdown, really, what it's like. To be honest, it's coming up now. It's a bit tiresome. It is Groundhog Day over and over, and in some ways you kind of have to have the groundhog mentality that you're just going to go through another day, and hopefully you do that day a bit better than the day before. And when you do it perfectly, the government will say the lockdown is over and everything's fine. Well, hopefully, we'll see. So the first thing, I would suggest getting a routine and do things you maybe wouldn't do if you're tired on weekends, normally after a week of work. Maybe if you don't get the chance to read, or you're too tired to read, this is the perfect time to do things like reading. And I allocate a couple of hours every day just for reading, and I've got a Kindle that's totally charged up and ready to go. If you want to learn a skill, say I play a bit of guitar, you could try that, but I would suggest if you cohabit with people that you don't take an instrument up for the first time, otherwise they might kill you, especially if you have something like a harmonica or a violin. The other thing is not to panic about supplies. The one thing all of these places that in lockdown manage to do is keep the supply chain going in terms of the pharmacy and food. And you really don't need to go out and stock up and hoard stuff. The shelves get restocked regularly. There are queues at the supermarkets, because in the supermarkets there's normally only about 5 or 6 people allowed into a big supermarket at any one time. So there's a big queue down the road, and obviously the queues are keeping 2 or 3 meters apart, so the queue can go hundreds of meters down the street, but actually it doesn't take that long to actually get into the supermarket and get your shop done. So don't hoard, and it's really unfair. I saw something in UK where a health worker had come off an 18-hour shift and wanted something to eat, went to Sainsbury's, and there was literally nothing there, and she was just being interviewed, just burst into tears. She goes, "I'm so tired and there's nothing." So be sensible and be kind and be empathetic to the health workers and any people who need this stuff. I think in the first couple of days the hoarding does happen, but over time, don't panic and you will be able to get food. It's a great chance to cook. If you're not a cooker or a person who cooks, then this is a great chance. Get some recipes, get on the internet, get some recipes. When you go out, make a list of nice fresh food. You can do also things like soups, things that you can freeze. I do a creamy chicken and mushroom thing that freezes brilliantly. So I do big batch and then stick them in the fridge. And that's it really. I think you just need to keep some humour and keep smiling and know that there is light at the end of the tunnel. The curve in Asia, in China and South Korea did taper off eventually. Obviously, they're worried about a second phase when they open up the lockdown, but we'll see how that pans out. But yeah, don't panic and keep smiling. And the final thing I would suggest is you will get bored, and there is a temptation to start cleaning and tidying, which is actually a brilliant thing to do. But what I suggest is don't clean all your cupboards and your drawers too early. You've got plenty of time. Just do them maybe one a day, and maybe after a couple of weeks you go round again and do a second throw out. But you'll end up with an amazingly tidy and organized flat or home wherever you live, and you'll come out of this with, it'll be amazing. All your admin will be done, everything will be filed away, and yeah, that's it. And keep moving. So you need to do exercise. We here can't go out at all for running. They've locked that down completely, so it has to be indoors. So I've got some stairs here, and I'll do a couple of videos on actually exercising indoors, because that's kind of my thing. So hopefully we'll see you soon. I'll post this up, and if you've got any comments, leave them down below. Keep smiling, keep strong, keep safe, be empathetic of other people, and keep the hygiene up. This is a very virulent virus. Cheers.